Hello, this is Joshua for Frost Dragon Designs, and today I'd like to talk to you about my Zodiac Astrology Wheel hard enamel pin. So let's get into the design. This pin is fairly unique in the catalog of pins that I have designed so far, and the main reason for that is most of my pins have some sort of a little cute animal or a character or something of that nature. I can think of a few exceptions like my Tomato Life pin, but generally I stick to animal-based pins. But as I was doing research for the Black Cat RPG 4 series, the Zodiac Cat series, I thought that a Zodiac wheel or an astrology wheel would make sense, and it gave me an excuse to have a sparkly, glittery D20 in the middle of it. When planning this out, I knew that there are 12 astrological signs and a circle's 360 degrees, so we're going to have one of those circles with an astrological sign every 30 degrees of the circle. I started with Aries, and then I started moving clockwise around it. So next was Pisces, which is kind of funny because they're kind of at the beginning and the end, and I did those first and second. And one of the things that I realized as I started doing these symbols was that I was going to need a way to keep them within scale of each other. So what I ended up doing was I had copies of each of the symbols above the actual pin design. That way I could compare them to each other and to those little benchmark lines I had to make sure that they were all roughly the same size and scale. And as you can see, in the middle of all 12 of those symbols, I have my astral D20. It doesn't have to be a D20. It just is for me because I'm a RPG gamer. But that is a kind of a sacred geometry shape unto itself. It has been used for a long, long time by a lot of different people. And I wanted it to kind of have a star map kind of quality to it. And I thought that one of the ways I might do that would be to have the dividing lines for the different faces, for the different triangle faces, be dotted lines. But I ended up not liking that. So instead, we just went for those small white circles at the intersecting points of those lines. I think a second ago you just saw the little triangle companion pin I thought about doing for a little while. That was supposed to be you could put it on your astrological sign to kind of mark it off, but then I just realized, well, you could just orient the pin with your sign at the top, at the 12 o'clock point on the clock face. So I just abandoned the secondary pin concept altogether. But that's what that little white triangle was going to be, kind of just a marker that you could use along with the main pin. As I was doing my research, though, for the broader Zodiac Cat series, and for this pin as well, I found it interesting that some of the signs actually seem to have multiple symbols that could represent them. So I just kind of had to try and figure out which ones were the most prevalent, or at least maybe the modern take on it. You know, I'm not really into astrology myself, but I respect the people that are. And I wanted to make sure that I wasn't doing something wildly out of date or out of sync with what those individuals would expect. Admittedly, something that was helpful when I couldn't figure out which one I should use. I just looked at emoticons and, picked the one that was most like that because I figured the emoticon people probably did a bit more research than I did. But I did do a fair amount of research, and, some of the things I learned were that astrological signs have genders assigned to them. They have elements assigned to them, like earth, wind, fire. And I wanted to try and represent both of those concepts on this pin as well. And so in this version in the video, some of the astrological signs have a little triangle in the corner of their circle, and some of them have a little square at the bottom, and that was supposed to represent the gender. I ended up removing that. Something didn't seem correct about it as far as balance for the design. But as far as the elements, I did do earth, wind, and fire symbols, and I chose to do those on the back of the pin, on the back of the respective circles for the astrological signs themselves. And I think that just kind of makes for a really fun detail, and I think it's going to be a neat surprise for people who buy this pin but haven't necessarily seen this video, as I don't intend to feature that in any of the photos on my website. Overall, this design was really fun for me because it was like a research project, and I am a lifelong learner, and I think that it's good to expand what you have knowledge of. So I hope you enjoyed seeing this pin being designed. Please go ahead, like and subscribe. I release a new pin video every week, sometimes 2 a week, it depends. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Have a great day.